They said America had no engineers. The voice cracks through the black screen. But one man took that as a dare. Sparks rain in slow motion, a welding torch igniting a nation's defiance. It's 1941, and the world is drowning in steel and fear. Jack Harrison stands in the echo of a half-built factory, blueprint rolled under his arm, surrounded by skeptics who think he's lost his mind. Tanks, built like cars? Impossible. But Harrison's eyes burn like engines waiting to start. He isn't just fighting physics, he's fighting disbelief. In Detroit's frozen morning air, a promise hums inside those concrete walls. If the world wants to test America's spirit, then Detroit will answer in thunder and tread. You'll see, he mutters, voice low, we'll make them roll. By midday, the factory hums with uncertain purpose. Workers move like ghosts, caught between curiosity and disbelief. Jack Harrison stands before them, chalk in hand, drawing the impossible, an assembly line for tanks. His voice echoes off cold concrete. We build cars by the thousands. Why not tanks? Laughter ripples through the crowd, nervous and cynical. Red Donovan leans on a crate, arms crossed, watching this madman turn war into math. Malloy's stare never softens, his silence cutting deeper than words. Evelyn scribbles notes behind Jack, her pencil moving with faith unspoken. What they don't see yet is that this sketch will become the heartbeat of America's resistance. The moment doubt begins to die. The night shift begins. Harrison stays long after the last worker leaves, the hum of silence louder than machines. He traces his hand over the chalkboard, erasing failure and redrawing possibility. Evelyn approaches quietly, offering coffee gone cold. They don't believe you yet, she says softly. Jack doesn't look up. They will when the first one rolls. Outside, snow falls on idle tracks, dusting rows of steel parts like forgotten soldiers waiting for orders. Inside, two souls share a quiet promise: to build what no one thinks can be built. Morning brings inspection. Colonel Malloy's footsteps echo through the corridors of metal, his patience thin. You're proposing an assembly line for armor plating, he says. Disbelief sharp as glass. Harrison nods once. Yes, sir. The same way Ford builds cars. Malloy circles him, eyes calculating risk. And if it fails, Jack's reply is steady. Then we'll fail trying to make history. A long silence follows, filled only by hammer strikes and distant welding sparks. Finally, Malloy gives a curt nod. You have 30 days. That night, Harrison sits alone on the factory floor, blueprint spread before him, the echo of Malloy's deadline heavy in his chest. The cold bites at his knuckles, but his pencil doesn't stop. Red walks in quietly, holding a cigarette between calloused fingers. You really think you can make a tank roll like a Ford? Jack doesn't look up. No, he murmurs. I think I can make America move like one. Red grins, shakes his head, and walks away muttering, You're either a genius or insane. The camera lingers on the blueprint. Lines of hope drawn in graphite and lines of hope. Grit. Gosh. The whistle blows before sunrise, and the plant awakens like a sleeping giant stirred by purpose. The once silent halls now echo with hammer strikes, shouted orders, and the metallic rhythm of creation. Jack Harrison walks the floor with new authority, his vision taking shape in steel and sweat. Blueprints stretch across tables like battle maps, each mark a stroke of defiance. Evelyn moves between drafts and measurements, translating his rough sketches into precision. Red trains fresh workers, men and women who've never built a tank, but know what it means to build for freedom. Overseeing it all, Malloy watches from a raised catwalk, torn between military skepticism and reluctant admiration. The impossible is beginning to move. One bolt, one hand, one heartbeat at a time. The first prototype frame lies bare, a skeletal machine that seems both fragile and immense. Harrison circles it with intensity, every weld scrutinized, every bolt tightened by trembling hands. "It's not a tank yet," he murmurs. "It's a promise." Evelyn stands beside him, tracing the steel with her fingertips. "A promise to who?" she asks. "To every soldier who will trust their life inside it," he replies. The workers pause to listen. A rare silence spreading across the floor. For the first time, they don't see a machine. They see salvation being born. Malloy's office becomes a war room of paper and projection. Charts of production schedules, fuel consumption, and deadlines cover every surface. "You're asking for triple the manpower and half the time," he growls. Harrison doesn't flinch. "We're not just building tanks, Colonel. We're building faith." Evelyn rolls out another set of blueprints, lines overlapping like veins in a living body. The air hums with urgency. Outside the window, Red's crew tests the new conveyor belts, gears grinding to life. The world may doubt America's engineers, but inside these walls, the proof is rising from the dust. Rain hammers the roof as Harrison works through the night. The storm outside mirrors the chaos within. Calculations that don't add up, parts that don't fit, faith that starts to crack. Evelyn finds him slumped over the drafting table, exhausted, hands trembling. "You can't fight the war from a desk," she whispers. He looks up, eyes hollow but burning. "I'm not fighting from a desk. I'm fighting from a dream." Thunder rattles the factory walls as lightning flashes across rows of half-built armor. Metal hearts waiting for light. The storm breaks with morning. Red bursts through the doors, soaked but grinning. "She moves," he shouts. Harrison and Evelyn sprint to the floor where the conveyor line creaks, then slowly hums into motion. Gears turn, belts glide. It's alive. Workers cheer as the first steel hull glides down the line, silent and strong. Malloy steps down from the catwalk, unable to hide the faint smile breaking through his rigid composure. The air is filled with steam, sweat, and the sound of victory not yet realized. "Start the next one," Harrison orders quietly. "Let's make history repeat, on schedule." Success breeds noise, and noise brings trouble. The arsenal roars now, tanks half-built on every line. Sparks flying like fireworks of defiance, yet beneath the clang and cheer, tension grows. Malloy's telegrams from Washington tighten the screws. More speed, less error. Red barks at new recruits who can't keep up, while Harrison feels the pressure mount in his chest like a loaded spring. Evelyn finds him staring at production charts, eyes red with exhaustion. "They think if we fail, we prove them right," he mutters. She nods quietly. "Then we can't fail." But somewhere in the plant, a wrench clatters to the floor, not by accident, but by intent. A grinding shriek cuts through the air. The conveyor line seizes mid-motion, sending tools flying. Workers scatter. Harrison rushes forward, slamming the emergency stop. The hum of progress dies into a chilling silence. It's the alignment bearings. Red growls, crouching under the stalled frame. Or someone made it that way. Harrison's face hardens. Check everything. Evelyn gathers blueprints, heart pounding. Malloy storms in moments later, voice like artillery. Washington doesn't want excuses. They want tanks. Harrison meets his glare without blinking. "Then tell them to give us more hands and fewer politicians." The colonel's silence says more than words. He can't protect them forever. That night, the factory is nearly empty. Rain taps against the windows, echoing like a heartbeat gone uneven. Evelyn finds Jack working under a single lamp, his face ghosted by fatigue. "They're saying sabotage," she whispers. He doesn't look up. They're right. His hand moves across the page, sketching new reinforcements to the line. Who'd want to stop us? She asks. He answers softly. Anyone who's afraid of what will prove. The thunder outside rolls across Detroit's skyline. A city at war with doubt and ambition both. Morning brings confrontation. Malloy stands before the entire crew, his voice commanding yet brittle. Someone here is risking lives and this nation's defense. Eyes dart nervously among the workers. Red steps forward, grease-streaked and furious. You think one of us would sell out what we're building? Malloy's silence is accusation enough. Harrison steps between them, voice cold but controlled. If there's a saboteur, they'll expose themselves soon enough. Because this place only runs on belief, and liars can't fake that sound. The factory hums again, cautious but alive, as unity begins to form through suspicion's smoke. Later, the culprit reveals himself, not through confession but through fire. A small explosion rips through the supply bay, shattering windows and sending sparks skyward. Harrison and Red race through the smoke, coughing, pulling open twisted metal doors. Lanes lick at crates of unassembled parts. Evelyn rushes with fire extinguishers, her face streaked with soot. Malloy's voice booms orders, soldiers flooding in to secure the scene. Amid the chaos, Harrison looks at the burning wreckage and whispers, "Now they'll see what fear looks like when it burns." And from the ashes, resolve glows brighter than ever. The fire's gone out, but the smoke lingers. The smell of charred steel clings to every surface, a ghost of failure that won't leave. Harrison stands in the ruins of the supply bay, ash dusting his coat. Workers move silently, sweeping debris without a word. Red joins him, eyes bloodshot from sleepless nights. "We're running out of time," he says. Harrison kneels, brushing soot from a bent gear. "Then we rebuild faster." Evelyn appears with salvaged blueprints, edges singed but legible. "The parts are gone," she says softly. "Then we make new ones," he replies. His voice doesn't rise. It hardens. "This isn't defeat. It's a forge. Every loss will be melted down into purpose." Days blur into nights as the arsenal becomes a cathedral of rebuilding. Machinery hums, welders spark, and the sound of hope drowns out exhaustion. Harrison's sleeves are always rolled, his voice hoarse from command. "No rest until it moves," he says. Evelyn redesigns the damaged systems, her precision the quiet counterpoint to his fury. Red organizes new teams, teaching farmers, mechanics, and students how to build with soldiers' pride. Malloy watches from above, realizing the miracle isn't in the machines. It's in the hands that shape them. From the wreckage, unity has risen, fierce and alive. The prototype is born at midnight, a creature of bolts, armor, and raw will. Harrison circles it slowly, eyes drinking in every curve of welded metal. "She's ugly," Red mutters, half grinning. "Ugly wins wars," Jack replies. Evelyn flips through checklists, her voice trembling with restrained awe. Malloy approaches, hand brushing the tank's side as if it were a living thing. "Does it run?" he asks. Harrison meets his gaze. "It will." Outside, thunder rolls again, but this time it sounds like engines warming up for battle. The test begins before dawn. Frost coats the tank's armor, steam rising from its exhaust like breath from a giant's mouth. Workers gather, silent and tense. Harrison climbs atop the vehicle, voice steady. "Let's make history roll." Red climbs inside, hands trembling as he grips the controls. Evelyn and Malloy stand side by side, eyes locked on the steel beast. The ignition coughs, chokes, then roars. A deep, mechanical thunder that shakes the ground. The tank lurches forward, then steadies, crawling across the lot as the crowd erupts. Harrison smiles for the first time in months. Against all odds, Detroit just made steel breathe. When the engine shuts down, the silence is deafening. For a moment, no one moves. Then cheers erupt, echoing through the metal halls like victory itself. Red climbs out, laughing through tears. Evelyn drops her clipboard, running forward, eyes bright with triumph. Malloy steps to Harrison and offers his hand, voice low but sincere. "You did it, son. You proved them wrong." Jack shakes his head slowly. "No, we did." The camera pans upward, the morning sun flaring behind the tank's silhouette. The impossible has been done. America's heart just started beating in steel. The test was victory, but Washington wants an army. Telegrams flood the arsenal, each stamped urgent. Harrison barely sleeps. He lives on black coffee and adrenaline. The factory now runs 24 hours a day, steel flowing like blood through veins of machinery. Red's laughter turns hoarse. Evelyn's hands tremble from endless drafting, and Malloy's reports stack like sandbags against time. Outside, trains whistle through the night, hauling away what they've built. Not just tanks, but proof of American will. Harrison looks over the roaring plant, voice barely a whisper. "They said we couldn't. Now they say we must." The weight of that command crushes even his steel heart. Winter deepens, and so does the work. The arsenal becomes its own world, a city of labor lit by fire and faith. Outside, snow falls silently. Inside, sparks fly like constellations. Harrison's voice echoes over the noise, commanding with the precision of an orchestra conductor. Every clang, every weld, every shouted, "Go!" builds towards something sacred. Evelyn leans over her drafts, fighting exhaustion. Red passes her a cup of cold coffee and grins. "If we stop now, history stops with us." She smiles faintly, the glow of machines painting her face like dawn. Around them, Detroit pounds out defiance with every hammer strike. Production pushes beyond limits. Accidents rise, tempers flare, and exhaustion breeds mistakes. One afternoon, a crane cable snaps, sending a turret crashing to the floor with a deafening roar. Workers dive for cover. Harrison sprints through smoke and shrapnel, shouting for silence, then order. "No one leaves," he commands, voice cutting through chaos. Red pulls a bruised worker to safety, Evelyn clutching her chest in shock. Malloy arrives moments later, eyes blazing. "You'll kill them running this hard." Harrison rounds on him, jaw tight. "Better we break our backs here than they die without these machines out there." The colonel's anger fades, replaced by grim understanding. That night, silence replaces chaos. The crew gathers in the cafeteria. Steel tables, tin cups, and faces drawn with exhaustion. Harrison stands at the front, voice low. "We're not just building tanks. We're building trust in ourselves, in what this country can still do." Red nods slowly, eyes glistening behind fatigue. Evelyn squeezes his hand beneath the table. Malloy remains in the back, arms crossed, saying nothing. But his gaze softens. Around them, laughter starts to return. It's faint, cracked, but real. In this worn-out factory, humanity still hums louder than any machine. Weeks later, the production line moves like a living organism, precise, relentless, unstoppable. The arsenal now turns out tanks faster than anyone thought possible. Reporters arrive, cameras flash. Malloy leads generals through the noise, pride hidden beneath discipline. Harrison keeps working, refusing to bask in headlines. Evelyn captures final measurements, her pen steady despite the tremor of exhaustion. Red grins as another tank rolls off the line, shouting, "We just built freedom on 4 tracks." Harrison glances at the clock. Thousands of miles away, soldiers are waiting, and he knows every second matters. The tanks are gone now, shipped east by rail, bound for a world Harrison can't see but feels in every heartbeat. The factory is quieter, the echoes strange without the roar of production. He stands by the tracks as the last freight cars disappear into a snowy horizon. There goes everything we built, Red mutters beside him. Harrison shakes his head. No way. There goes everyone we built it for. Evelyn watches from behind, her breath visible in the cold. Malloy folds a telegram in his gloved hands, face unreadable. Somewhere across the ocean, those machines will roll into fire. For now, all they can do is wait. And hope their work holds when men's lives depend on it. Weeks pass. The war creeping closer through paper and radio. Every broadcast feels like a pulse of fear. Harrison listens each night in his office, static buzzing like ghosts. Evelyn brings him ration coffee and sits beside him as a reporter's voice crackles through. American tanks, built in Detroit, broke through enemy lines this morning. Harrison freezes. Red bursts and seconds later, still in his coveralls, breathless. Did you hear it? They made it. For the first time, Harrison laughs. A raw, disbelieving sound. Malloy enters quietly, a smile tugging at his stoic face. For one night, the arsenal feels alive again. Not in metal, but in victory. But war is never merciful for long. Days later, another report hits. Heavy casualties reported near the front. American armor under intense fire. Harrison lowers the newspaper slowly, his fingers trembling. The ink smudges on his hands like blood. Those are our tanks, he whispers. Evelyn tries to speak, but can't. Red paces, fists clenched. If they're falling apart out there, Harrison cuts him off. Then we fix what's broken. From here, he turns to Malloy. Get me the field reports, every detail. His voice cracks. No longer steel, but something rawer. Guilt forged into resolve. Malloy returns 2 nights later with photos. Black and white images smuggled from the front. Tanks scarred, tracks mangled, armor pierced. Harrison studies them in silence, tracing every flaw. The welds cracked under artillery, Malloy says quietly. The frame held, but the plating wasn't enough. Harrison finishes, eyes distant. Evelyn steps forward. You did what no one else could, Jack exhales. Then we'll do it again. Better. Red slaps the table with a greasy hand. Damn right we will. The room, heavy with grief, transforms into resolve. From Detroit to the front, the line of faith reforges. Night falls again, but no one leaves. The factory hums to life. Not for mass production this time, but perfection. Harrison redesigns armor plating. Evelyn recalculates tolerances. Red forges prototypes himself. And Malloy coordinates logistics. Like a general preparing for another front. Outside, snow drifts across the silent city. But inside, the fire burns bright. When the final bolt tightens, Harrison looks up at the clock. 4:12 a.m. Let's send them something that lasts, he says. The camera pans over the new prototype. Heavier, stronger, defiant. The music swells as its engine rumbles to life. Detroit has found its redemption in steel once more. Spring arrives like a new war drum. The latest batch of Detroit tanks has shipped. The stronger design, the second chance. For weeks, the arsenal waits in uneasy quiet, every sound amplified by hope. Then one morning a telegram arrives. Malloy reads it aloud. Enemy lines broken. American tanks led the charge. Losses minimal. The room explodes. Red hollers. Evelyn laughs through tears. Harrison stands still, the paper trembling in his hand. They held, he whispers, disbelief giving way to relief. After all the doubt, all the sleepless nights, all the fire, steel kept its promise. For the first time, Silence feels like victory. Newspapers call it the Arsenal miracle. Detroit becomes a legend overnight, a city that turned sweat into salvation. But Harrison doesn't celebrate. He walks the quiet factory floor alone, the machines now still, resting after their crusade. Evelyn finds him staring at the empty conveyor line. "It's over," she says softly. "No," he answers. "It's never over. As long as someone doubts what we can build, there's work to do." His hand brushes the cold steel of a completed hull. The echo of hammer strikes lingers like ghosts of creation, reminders that greatness isn't built once, but rebuilt forever. The world moves forward. Soldiers return, the war machine slows, but stories of Detroit's tanks spread like scripture. One day, a letter arrives addressed to Harrison, from a soldier who'd fought inside one of his tanks. "Your machine saved my crew. When the shells hit, she didn't break. We made it home because of what you built." Harrison reads it aloud to the team, his voice breaking halfway through. Evelyn's eyes glisten. Red claps him on the shoulder. Malloy simply salutes. The factory that once echoed with doubt now hums with gratitude, and the man once mocked as a dreamer finally understands. Belief can be built in steel. Months later, Harrison stands before a gathering of workers. The same faces that once doubted, fought, and built beside him. "They said America had no engineers," he begins, his voice echoing through the steel cathedral. "They said we couldn't do it. But look around. We did more than build tanks. We built belief." Applause shakes the air, boots pounding the floor like thunder. Malloy stands at the edge, proud and still. Evelyn watches, a quiet smile touching her lips. Red leans against a crate, nodding through tears. For once, the man of blueprints needs no plans, only gratitude. Years later, the arsenal stands silent again. Its machines retired, its purpose fulfilled. Harrison walks the empty floor one last time, his reflection ghosted in rusted steel. He stops at the same spot where he once said, "Well, make them roll." His lips move, repeating it softly, almost to himself. Evelyn's voice echoes faintly behind him. "You did?" He turns and smiles, the weight of a lifetime lifting in that single moment. Outside, wind hums through broken windows, carrying the sound of distant trains. America moves forward, built on the faith of those who refused to believe it couldn't.